Alright, so in this video, I put all of my other settings videos into one video as a compilation, one-stop shop for all of the settings you're going to need for Counterstrike 2. I hope this video will help out the people that are looking for the best settings for everything. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers. It would mean the world if you do that. Enjoy the video. We're going to start off on video settings. So what you're going to want to do is put your display on your monitor 1. So I'm on a Zowie, so my monitor 1 is the Zowie XL LCD. Put it on that. Make sure your display mode is on full screen. All of the other ones, I think windowed makes this like a smaller window. You can adjust the size, you get less FPS. Windowed full screen, no one uses it. Don't use it. Don't be that one guy. And then your aspect ratio, you can pick 4:3, 16:9, or 16:10. If you don't know what you want to play on, I highly recommend you go check out my previous two videos. The first one was a video on what the best resolution is, and the second one, it actually came out today, the day I'm recording this, is how to use stretch resolution. So I highly recommend you go check out those videos to decide what you're going to run. And then the resolution tab is really just what resolution you're going to use. Pick out of the aspect ratio that you decide you like from that other video. And then you make sure you have your refresh rate on the highest one possible. So I play on 240 hertz. So I'm going to pick 239. I explained that you can't have it the max. It always caps at one lower in my other video. So yeah, click the highest you can possibly put it at. Brightness, I think I said on my other video, it's 102 since beta. I've kept a 102. There's no reason to change it. It looks good in my opinion. Put brightness at 102. For advanced video, I have boost player contrast unenabled. I have VSync disabled. I have G-Sync disabled, it's grayed out. I have NVIDIA reflex low latency on enabled plus boost. And then I have maximum FPS in game at 0. And then I have maximum FPS in menus at 200. For current video values presets, I have it at custom. Multi-sampling anti-aliasing mode is at 4x MSSA, which is default. Global shadow quality is at high, which is default. Dynamic shadows is all, which is default. Model texture detail is at medium. Texture filtering mode is at anisotropic 16x. Shader details at low. Particle details at low. Ambient occlusions at high. High dynamic range is at quality, which is default. And fidelity FX super resolution is at disabled, highest quality. Don't mess with the setting if you want your game to look halfway decent. It's not worth it. It will make your game look so bad if you mess with that. HUD edges completely default. Make sure it goes to the edges of your monitor. You want to be able to see as much as possible. For audio, I have my master volume at 80%. I think it's pretty loud, to be honest. I don't need it any louder. It sounds good to me, but that's really personal preference. I have it on my default device, which is my headphones. I have my EQ profile on natural. I have my left to right isolation at 50%. That just means it's right in the middle. It's not louder on either side. It's perfectly normal. Perspective correction is at no. Play audio game in background is at no. Voice, other player voice volume is at 100. And voice microphone mode is at disabled. I'm not exactly sure what that does, but I've never had any issues with it. Voice input audio device is hooked up to my headphones. Hear my own voice is off. Streamline push talk, yes. And microphone trigger threshold, I mean, it's at the minimum. That might be default, I'm not 100% sure. For music, main menu volume is at 0. Round start volume is at 0. Round action volume is at 0. Round end volume is at 0. MVP volume is at 40%. Bomb hostage volume is at 0. 10-second warning volume is at 20%, death camera volume is at 0%, and mute MVP music when players on both teams are alive, no. Game mode EQ, competitive EQ, default, casual EQ, default, deathmatch EQ, default, and arms race EQ are all defaults. Haven't really messed with those, I don't see a reason to. For game, make sure you have enabled developer console mode on. Max acceptable matchmaking ping, have that at 25. I have it at the lowest. Max acceptable game traffic bandwidth, I have it at extremely restricted. Buffering to smooth over packet loss and jitter, none. Install Counterstrike workshop tools, no, because I don't make maps. HUD scale, the lowest. HUD color, purple. You can have this whatever you want, it's totally personal preference. Large player count, no, but honestly I have it on yes. Sometimes it kind of just depends on what I'm feeling. That's totally personal preference as well. Community notification locations at top right. Community notification horizontal offset is at 0. Community notification vertical offset is at 0. Team, show ID through walls. I have it on pips, names, health, and equipment. Show player colors in competitive, show colors. Use player colors on team ID, yes. Friends lobby default permissions. All friends can join. Looking to play when Counter-Strike starts. Remember last state. For communication, player pings, display, and play sound. Mute enemy team, no. Mute all but friends, no. Text filtering, it's in Steam. Personal preference. If you don't want to see curse words, then have it on restricted. Allow animated avatars, have it on yes. Hide avatar images and customize items. I have it show all. And clean player names, no. For spectator slash scoreboard, spectator slash map vote number selected method, use number keys. Scoreboard mouse enable slash end of match scoreboard toggle. Secondary fire. End of match local player defeat animation enabled. Survivors always on, no. Smooth spectator camera, yes. Smooth spectator camera speed is at 0.27. For item, delay sniper rifle unscope after shot, no. Auto resume sniper rifle after shot, yes. Detached silencer on M4A1S and USPS, disabled. View model position, desktop. Preferred view model, left, right, handiness. I have it on right, but sometimes I play left. Kind of just depends on what I'm feeling. First person tracers, enabled. Make sure you have this on. This is always really good to have. Always show inventory, yes. Open buy menu with use key, yes. Buy menu number keys buy items. Buy menu donation key, left control. Last weapon on radical weapon tab. Yes, that's grayed out though. Radar tablet. Radar centers the player, yes. Radar is rotating, yes. Radar HUD maps blends with the background, yes. Radar HUD background opacity, 0.63. Radar HUD size, 1.0. Radar map zoom, 0.70. Radar map alternate zoom, 1. And then toggle shape with scoreboard is yes. Getting down to Crosshair, I uploaded a video recently on the best crosshairs in the game. They're a bunch of my favorite crosshairs. They're really good. I've been switching between them. Recently I went back to one of my old crosshairs, which I was in the video. So for this crosshair, you're going to use classic static, always on, no, yes, 0.9, 0.1, minus 2.2, 1.0, 0, 255, 0, 200. Make sure alpha is checked. And then for T-style, no. Deployed weapon gap, no. Show player crosshairs, completely personal preference. I have it on everyone. It's nice to see everyone's crosshair. And show my crosshair when spectating bots, never. Grenade lineup reticle is the newer setting. Keep regular crosshair, yes. Flashbangs, 2.0, that's checked. HE grenades, checked, 2.0. Molotovs, checked and 2.0. Smoke grenades, checked 2.0. Decoy grenades, checked 2.0. I believe that's completely default. So if it's not, or if you haven't changed it, don't change it. Damage prediction, predict body shot effects, no. Predict headshot effects, no. And predict kill ragdolls, I have on yes. Pretty sure there's also a new setting. I haven't messed with it. My game feels fine. Telemetry, show frame rate, time, and FPS, always. Frame time warning threshold, I have it on max. Show ping, always. Show network problems, never. Network tick miss rate warning threshold is at 2.0. Show network jitter slash misdelivery graph, never. Use the detailed network quality display, never. Okay, so moving on to keyboard and mouse. Reverse mouse, off, don't use that. Duck mode, hold. Walk mode, hold. Zoom button, hold. Repeat disabled. Mouse sensitivity, I use 110 at 800 dpi. I messed up the editing in my best sensitivity video. I use 800 dpi. Zoom multiplier, 1.0. Toggle inventory display, I have it unbinded. Move forward, W. Move backward, S. Move left, A. Move right, D. So basic WASD. Walk is with my mouse 4. I know a lot of people think that might be weird. I've just gotten used to it. Duck is left shift because I have my walk on the mouse. It opens up shift key. Jump is on space. I have that double binded though, so I can also jump with my mouse wheel. Use, which is E. Fire, mouse 1, secondary fire, mouse 2, reload R, radical weapon menu unbinded, select previous weapon unbinded, select next weapon unbinded, last weapon used Q, drop weapon G, inspect weapon F, switch view model left right hand L, buy menu V, auto buy F3, rebuy F4, primary weapon 1, secondary weapon 2, melee weapons 3, grenade cycles 4, explosives and traps 5, HE grenades 6, flashbang 7, smoke grenade 8, decoy grenade 9, and Molotovs 0. I haven't changed these binds at all. I haven't really felt the need to. I know a lot of people do, but I just haven't felt the need to. Zeus X27 is unbinded. Hellshot is X. Utility items is unbinded, and graffiti menu is U. Scoreboard is tab. Show team equipment is unbinded. Toggle radar zoom is unbinded. Call vote is unbinded. Choose team is M, and trigger console is the grave key, or whatever that's called, I can't remember. Communication options, player ping, mouse 3, radio message Z, command radio message, unbinded, standard radio message, unbinded, report radio message, unbinded, team message, Y, chat message, T, use microphone, that's mouse 5, and then temporarily disable incoming chat, that is unbinded. Temporarily disable incoming chat, that is unbinded. For chat wheel keys, chat wheel 1 through 3, or all 3 are unbinded. This down here, I'm not even sure what this is, I don't know. Before we dive into what the best resolution is, we need to talk about what resolution means. Resolution is the measurement of the number of pixels that can be displayed on your screen horizontally and vertically. These two numbers are written out together with an X separating them. For example, the native resolution most people are running at this moment is 1920 x 1080. As you can see on screen, the 1920 represents the amount of pixels displayed horizontally across your screen, and the 1080 represents the amount of pixels displayed vertically up on your screen. The second number also represents the quality of the image being displayed. For example, 1080 is HD, 1080p. These numbers can be changed either up or down to upscale or downscale your resolution. For example, 1280 by 720 is still a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, like 1920 by 1080, but it is downscaled so the image will be a lower quality. This can be done the other way around as well. 2048 by 1152 is still a 16 by 9 aspect ratio, but has been upscaled from its native counterpart 1920 by 1080. This will show a better quality image. Now that you have a basic understanding of what resolution is, we can now talk about the resolutions people have been using for a long time. Many professional and casual players agreed for a very long time that 1280 by 960 was the so-called God res. It was downscaled enough so people wouldn't have to worry about not getting enough FPS, but also not downscaled too much so people couldn't clearly see what was happening in the game. Notable pros that use this resolution are Simple, Zywu, Device, Twist, and many more. To everyone who not only played the game but paid attention to professional CS, this was the best res you could use at the time without a doubt, but since then, things have changed a little. Before I get into the next section of the video, I want to talk about Valorant. And before you click off the video, yes, I know we're all Counterstrike players, none of us like Valorant that much, but Valorant did have a pretty significant portion in deciding what we consider the best resolution is. With Valorant's release back in 2020 came a lot of attention from some Counterstrike professionals, most of whom came from the NA region. When Valorant was released, Riot, the developer of the game, made it clear that they wouldn't include support for stretch resolutions because they felt it was an unfair advantage, because all players were forced to use 16 by 9 aspect ratio. While many pros didn't take Valorant seriously and continued to play Counter-Strike during this time, some did take it seriously. Some even went pro. With the 16 by 9 being the only usable aspect ratio, players were forced to get used to it. As time passed, many pros that played Valorant eventually came back to Counter-Strike, and they ended up staying at 16 by 9 aspect ratios because of how long they were playing on them in Valorant. So now that we can stop talking about Valorant, because no one really wants to talk about Valorant, let's get back to Counter-Strike. With the release of Counter-Strike 2 in 2023, the debate of the best resolution came back up. The topic tends to resurface every so often, but this time it felt different because Valorant had shown that 16 by 9 was perfectly fine and playable. Many people who played Counter-Strike for years using non-native resolutions continued doing so after the release of CS2 because CSGO and CS2 are so similar, but recently the debate of what the best resolution is has come back up. Now, with all that being said, I do want to give as much of a definitive answer as I possibly can, but the truth is, there's no such thing as a best resolution. Before you click off the video, there are some things that you should know that can help you find your so-called God resolution. If you like playing a game that's slightly more fast-paced and don't mind giving up some vision on the sides of your screen, then I recommend you try using stretched res. On the other hand, if you like playing a game that is slightly slower paced and want to use the same resolution across every single game you play, then I recommend you use native resolution. Unfortunately, the question we're addressing in this video really does come down to personal preference, but I do think that everyone has their God resolution. It just takes time of playing with different resolutions to figure out what your best resolution is. My biggest tip is that you go out and try new resolutions, but whatever you do, play with the resolution you're on for an extended amount of time. Get used to it. Play ranked matches. Get good with it, because every resolution is going to feel awkward immediately when you switch to it, and I don't want you to switch to a resolution, not be good because you're just getting used to it, and then think it's a bad resolution. The truth is, there's no such thing as a bad resolution unless you're actually playing on like a super downscaled resolution that doesn't fit your monitor and you can't see what you're doing. So to hop straight into it, all you're going to do is you're going to go over to video settings, and you're going to go to aspect ratio, and then select whatever you want. So if you want to use stress resolution, you're going to go to normal 4:3 or widescreen 16:10. All of the 1280, 960, 1440 by 1080, those resolutions are going to be 4:3, as you can see here. So I'm on 1440 by 1080, but I could downscale to 1280 by 960, all of these resolutions. So these are the more common stress resolutions you're going to see pros using. If you want to use 16 by 9, you can also do that. And you're going to have these resolutions. I'm going to stick on 4:3 if I can go back. And then also, this happens to be every single time I switch resolutions, make sure that your refresh rate right here is on your monitor's highest refresh rate. It's going to be -1 when you get the higher resolution, so I play on a 240 Hz monitor, so I want to select 239 Hz. If you're on 144, select 143, 120, 120. You see the pattern. if you have black bars because of this step, I'm going to show you in the next step how to fix that. But if you have already configured your PC to be able to run stress resolution, you shouldn't have them. But don't fear, I'm going to show you how to fix black bars if you do have black bars. Alright, so all you're going to do to fix black bars on an NVIDIA graphics card is come down here and go to NVIDIA control panel. Wait for that to load up. When you're loaded in, you're going to go to adjust desktop size and position, and then make sure this aspect ratio is selected. Put this perform scaling on GPU. Some people select override the scaling mode set by games and programs. I don't currently have it selected. I don't think it's necessary. I've never had an issue with it, but if you want to select it because other people have told you to, you can go for it. And then down here, make sure this is on your native resolution aspect ratio. So 1920 by 1080 is mine, and have it on the highest refresh rate your monitor can handle. For example, I play on 240, have it 240. If you play on 360, 144, have it there. And while you're here, a good thing to do is come over to change resolution and just make sure this is on the highest refresh rate possible for your monitor or multiple monitors, whatever. A lot of people end up just forgetting to select this, and it comes back to bite them in the ass later on. So just make sure this is selected. That's all for NVIDIA graphics cards. Super simple. The next step of this video, I'm going to show you guys how to do it on AMD graphics cards. Alright, so as you can see, the graphics on screen is a screenshot from the AMD settings. I don't actually have an AMD card, so I can't go in and show you step by step, but this is a screenshot I found. So you're going to want to copy these settings in display options. So you're going to want to turn off AMD FreeSync. You're going to want to turn off virtual super resolution. You're going to want to turn on GPU scaling. Put scaling mode to preserve aspect ratio. Put integer scaling at disabled. HDMI link assurance enabled, and HDMI scaling to 0. Again, these are settings that I found online that I would imagine do the same thing as the NVIDIA settings, but I'm not 100% sure. But these should be great. Should get everything done. But yeah, that's really it when it comes to using stress res in Counterstrike 2. It's really simple. Essentially, every type of crosshair you're going to want is going to be in this video. So the crosshair that you see on screen obviously looks like this. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better, but just to get a general idea, this is what it looks like. All you're going to do to get this crosshair is basically just going to put these settings. So it's classic static, always off, no, 2.0, 0.5, minus 3.0, 0. That's unchecked. 50, 250, 50, 255, and then I have no, everyone, always. These are personal preference, but these are the crosshair settings that you're going to want to copy. If you don't want to put these in manually, I'm going to have the crosshair codes in the description and the pinned comment, so you can copy this crosshair as well as the other crosshairs I'm going to cover later in this video. That's this one. So the second crosshair I'm going to show off looks like this. It's much smaller. It's green. It has a center dot. I used to use this crosshair in my older videos. So if you've been watching my channel for a long time, then you would have seen this. It looks a little different because currently I'm on 1440 by 1080, which is 4:3, but it's a higher resolution. So it's going to appear smaller on my screen than someone who is playing on 1280-960 or a lower resolution. And then also someone playing on native 16:9, it's going to appear differently. But this is this one. All you're going to do for this crosshair is put in these settings. So classic static, always off, no, yes, that's the difference. 0.9, 0.1, minus 2.2, 1.0, but this is unchecked, 0, 255, 0, 200, no, everyone always. And the code will also be in the description for that as well. Alright, so the crosshair you see on screen right now is a crosshair that I don't think I've ever used in a video before, but I used it for a couple of days. This is Donk's crosshair he was using when they won Katowice. I like it. It's a little small for my preferences, but I think it looks really good. And if you like smaller crosshairs, if you're used to like dot crosshair or just really small, normal looking crosshairs, then you should definitely try this one out. It's really good for headshots. And all you're going to use, the only codes you're going to use for this one is going to be classic static, always off, no, 1, 0, minus 4.0, unchecked 1.0, 255, 255, 255, 255, and then no, everyone always. Alright, so this is the fourth crosshair we're doing. This one is kind of similar to the one that I use in most of my videos now, with it being very, much bigger and a little skinnier. This one is twists, so teamliquid twist, formerly phase twist. This is his crosshair or a very recent iteration of one of his crosshairs. And all you're going to do for this one is classic static, always off, no, 2.0, 0, minus 3.0, unchecked 0, 0, 255, 0, 255, and then no, everyone always. Something you're going to notice for, I think, all the crosshairs on this list, they're always going to be classic static because it just means it does not move when you shoot and it does not show recoil. A lot of people will prefer that, me included, and I'm sure you do as well. Alright, so this is the next crosshair. As you can see, it's much bigger. The people that prefer bigger crosshairs are definitely going to like this one the most out of all of them on the list, given it's the biggest by a lot. But this one is much more similar to like the default crosshairs you will see like on the ESL stream if you ever watch Counterstrike tournaments. It's a little smaller, but it's still much bigger. I like it, but it's not my favorite on the list only because it feels like when I'm aiming at opponents, it can kind of get in the way and be a little obnoxious. But if you do like this crosshair, then all you're going to do to get this in your game is you're going to put classic static, always off, no, 2.4, 0.8, minus 2.4, 1.0, 0, 255, 0, 200. Make sure outline's unchecked and go no, everyone always. Okay, so for the first part of this video, I'm going to be going over the NVIDIA settings. So right now I'm in NVIDIA control panel and I'm under the adjust desktop color settings. So all you're going to do when you launch it is go to adjust desktop color settings. So the only thing you're going to do here is go down here to where it says digital vibrance, and you're just going to change this to however high or low you want this. So the lower it goes, the more gray your game's going to get, as you can see here. The higher it goes, the more vibrant it's going to get. I used to play at 100, and then I went down to like 80, and then I think I went down to like 75, and now I'm just back down to 50. 50 is default. I think 50 looks the best for the games that I play. And I think it's the easiest on your eyes, but I will say that anything higher than 50 makes everything look a lot better, especially Counterstrike. So if you play Counterstrike, Valorant, really any FPS game with like bright colors, then digital vibrance is going to make your game look absolutely amazing. But do beware that if you play long hours, it can be a little hard on your eyes. So I would say only go to 60 to 75% if you play a lot. But don't go anywhere near 100. You're just going to feel eye strain, and it's just not going to be good for you. Okay, so for the last step of this video, I'm in OBS now. This is what I use to record all of my games. This is what my OBS looks like. But all you're going to do is, if you have recorded anything, you have a source. This is what detects your game. So either you're going to have a game capture or a desktop capture. Unfortunately, with Counter-Strike, at least CSGO, I haven't really looked into CS2 how it works, but in CSGO, you could not use game capture because it would think that you're using a third-party software and you have to use another command. It just got complicated. So a lot of times it's easier just to use desktop, which will show your desktop if you tab out, but at least you can record the game. So all you're going to do is go to your desktop capture. You're going to right-click on that. You're going to go to filters, and then you're going to add color correction right here. I already have mine. Mine's off right now. I'll show you what happens when it goes on. It is going to, so it's going to have these settings right here. I'm not sure if I've changed anything because I've used it for such a long time, but just copy these settings, put saturation at 1, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when this is on. So as you guys can see, everything's got a little brighter. You can see in this little thing right here too, it got brighter for me. You turning the setting on is going to affect all the games you record. It's going to make them look a little brighter, better in my opinion, but that's objective. And yeah, I think content creators are really enjoying the setting. I think you will too if you try it out. So that's all for what I was going to show you guys in this video, but I do want to say a quick couple of things before I do in the video. A lot of times when I'm editing my videos, I will add some saturation in post. That is to brighten up my game even further. So say that I'm not using the OBS filter, I'm going to add more of it. Say that if I am using the OBS filter, I'm going to add less of it. In this video, I am going to be adding some saturation to make it look super bright. And it should look like my other videos, but I just want to be fully transparent that what my video looks like after might look a little bit different than what your video looks like after you use the OBS settings. And then the other one is that when I make my thumbnails, I also add saturation to make those even brighter, so they just look better. That won't happen when you just take a screenshot for a thumbnail. You're gonna have to go in and do that in a photo editing program like Photoshop. But yeah, just for full transparency, I thought I would throw that in there. Launch options can be as important as the settings you use in-game for overall performance of the game that you play. In this video, we're going to find out the best ones for you. Before we get into the best launch options, I kind of want to go over what they are because some people just don't know. Launch options are settings you can input into Steam for when your game is launched to better optimize performance and just have a better overall time playing the game. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first one we're going to talk about is plus exec auto-exec.cfg. As you can see, it's on screen. They're all going to be on screen. Basically, this one will execute your auto-exec file if you have one. No one really wants to have to manually execute the file, so this is super simple. You don't have to think about it. It will auto execute like the name implies whenever you launch the game. It's super convenient. The next one we're going to talk about is -nojoy. This one disables controller support. You don't want a controller for Counterstrike unless you play on a controller, so if you don't play on a controller, use -nojoy. It's really simple. It makes it so you aren't getting secondary inputs from a controller you might have plugged in from a different game you're playing. I think it's super convenient. I think you should use this one. The third one I'm going to talk about is -novid. This one's going to skip the Valve video that plays when you first launch the game and skip straight to the Counterstrike 2 screen. I like this one because when I launch the game, I don't want to watch another extra video before I can play the game, so this one's super convenient. I highly recommend using this one. The fourth one I'm going to talk about is -high. This one's going to set the game to high priority and may increase FPS when you use it. I think this is a really good all-around one that everyone should be using just for overall performance, and I think some people could really benefit from this setting if you're playing on a slightly lower end machine. The fifth one I'm going to talk about is -threads, then parentheses around a number. That number is going to be set to one less thread than your CPU has. So for example, if you have 8 threads set to 7, if you have 12 threads set to 11, you get the idea. This one may increase FPS. I use it. Most people use it. I think it's a really good one that everyone should be using just to maybe get the extra performance bump. The next one we're going to talk about is +violence_h blood space 0. This one removes blood and may increase performance for some because there's less things on the screen that your game has to render. With less things on the screen, you may get more FPS. I think this one is just a pretty good one to have if you are on a lower end machine and really need the extra FPS. I think there's no hurt in trying this one out. The next one is +CL_force preload space 1. This one's going to force the game to preload models, which may help performance. Again, for the people on slightly lower end machines, you guys might be able to benefit from this. I think there's no harm in trying it out, you know, just like all these other ones. This next one is +FPS_max 0. This one's going to get rid of the FPS cap. I currently play on a 240 hertz monitor, and I like having just as many FPS as possible in game, just to know that my monitor is getting the amount of FPS in game as it can present. I think it's a really useful one. I think everyone should be using that. This next one is -allow_third_party_software. Use this one if you record any Counter-Strike content. So if you are making videos or live streaming, you're really going to want this one because it lets OBS see the game and actually record it. So you're not going to get very far recorded if you don't have this one there, but this is only really for content creators. The 10th one we're going to talk about is -full screen. This one's going to launch the game at full screen, which is going to be better for performance. Most of you are probably already playing on full screen, but it's kind of a safe bet just to have this one there just in case something happens with your settings. You'll always be launched at full screen. I think it's just a safe one to have. I currently use it. I think it's a great setting. The 11th one we're going to talk about is -console. This one's going to launch your game with access to developer console, which is good for adjusting settings among other things. This one's really good if you have an auto-exec and you decide you want to manually execute it or just want to mess around with some other settings. Developer console is all around a really great tool, and I think you should have access to it if you're playing Counter-Strike, so use this one for sure. The final one we're going to talk about is -refresh, parentheses, and then whatever number your refresh rate is on your monitor, put in those parentheses. So for example, for me, I play on a 240 hertz monitor. I would put -refresh, parentheses, 240, close parentheses. This one, I mean, it's really self-explanatory, but I think you should definitely use this one because you could be missing out on FPS. For people that have kind of been looking into this stuff, trying to figure out the best settings, you may have noticed I left out -frequency and then monitor refresh rate. I left it out because there isn't much evidence to prove that this really affects your performance all that much. It's pretty negligible. I think you can leave it out if you really want to include it. You totally can. Nothing's stopping you. But I just didn't put it in this list because I haven't found any noticeable performance bumps in testing. Before I show you how to actually input these settings, I do want to say that I did a bunch of research on this video and my sources will be linked in the description. I want to start listing my sources just to kind of show you guys I'm actually doing my research. You guys can trust it a little bit more. But yeah, they're down there if you want to go check them out. If you want to go fact check, they're right there. Go ahead. All right, so all you're going to do to input these settings is first go to Steam, and then you're going to go over here to where it says Counterstrike 2, like you launch the game. You're going to right click, then go to properties, then go to general, and come right down here and you'll see launch options. So the ones that I read out are already inputted. Here they are. As you can see, they're right here. I'll scroll through them so you guys can see that I'm not lying. They're all right here. So as you can see, I personalized them. So where it says dash threads, I put my amount of cores and then -1. So I have 12 cores, so I put threads 11. And then I also personalized the last one, which is the refresh rate one. So minus refresh 240. That's really it. That's all that there is to inputting your launch options. You're just going to close this and launch the game like you'd play Counterstrike any other day. So I'm going to be showing you how to get a really good B-hop auto exec. It's much better than the standard Counter-Strike B-hopping because Counter-Strike 2 is sub-ticked and that just makes hitting B-hops a little bit harder. So all you're going to do, how I got to the screen, I just right-click on Counter-Strike 2, hit Properties, and then I'm back here. You're going to want to go to Installed Files, Browse, Game, CSGO, and then you gotta find your auto exec. It's easier if you just type it up here. Auto exec CFG. All right, cool. If you don't have an auto exec, you're just gonna make a new text document. So right click, new text document, and then just rename it auto exec. I don't need that, so I'm gonna delete it. You can name it whatever you want, but if you name it auto exec, usually it'll be easier for the next step. Actually, a couple steps from now. So anyway, you're gonna go to auto exec. Then you're gonna put these binds in. They might look a little complicated right now, but I promise they're not. All it's gonna do is just unbind all of your jump binds and then rebind them using the auto exec. So it's gonna rebind space, and then if you use mwheel down, mwheel up, that will also do this, which most players will use. These are in the top of the description, so just check there if you want them. And then the final step is you're going to go to general and then make sure you have named the file. It ends in .cfg, and then you're just gonna put plus exec whatever you named it right there, and then every time you open the game, it will execute that file, make it run, and you can also use other commands. But yeah, that's really it.